Yes, that's fine. So today we'll start with the topic probability. So what's an experiment is? An experiment is an operation which can produce some well-defined outcomes. Okay. And random experiment is nothing but an experiment which will have all possible outcomes. That is called as a random experiment, and the output of that experiment will not be known exactly. So example, tossing a coin is a random experiment, like you can get either a head or a tail, so the output cannot be predicted, but we'll know all the exact outputs. Is it clear, guys? Yeah, that's fine. So the examples are tossing a coin and drawing a card from a pack of well shuffled cards. So what is the probability of an event to occur? Example, let E be an event. Okay, so any event, and S is the sample space. So the probability of event to occur is, Anjali just now started. So we'll start with the probability topic. Okay, so the probability of an event is nothing but the number of ways an event E can occur by the total number of possible outcomes. Okay, example, if you need head while tossing a coin, then the probability of getting head will be 1 by 2. No, Swati, just now we have started, so we can proceed. Okay, so the number of ways an event can occur is getting a head will be of 1. Like the total outcome will be either head or tail. So the total number of possible outcomes is 2, and the number of ways event can occur is 1. So 1 by 2 will be the probability of that event. So these are the different cases, like the event can be impossible event or unlikely event. That is, out of 6 chances, you will have only one chance that an event can occur. That is called as 1 in 6 chance. That event are called as unlikely event. And even chances is tossing a coin, as I said before, like you can get either head or tail. So there are even possibilities, 1 by 2. And likely is you'll get, there are more possibilities for such outcomes. That is called as a likely event. And certain event is nothing but a sure event. Is everybody clear? Yes, Aslam. So an impossible event is nothing but getting a head and a tail in a single toss. It is an impossible event. Okay. Yes, Swati, I'll just explain it. So impossible event is getting a head and a tail in a single toss. Okay. Even chances is getting an head or tail. So 1 by 2 is an even chance, right? And sure event is it will definitely happen. Okay. So the probability will always range from 0 to 1. Is it clear? So the probability of an event will range from 0 to 1, and probability of a sure event will always be 1. Okay, and probability of a null event, that is which is not sure. Okay, it will unlikely event, we can say like that, it is not, it will never happen, so that event will be 0. And probability of a complement, which is nothing but an opposite of that event. Okay, so probability of A complement will be 1 minus probability of occurrence of that event. So probability of getting an sure event is 1. Example, if you are throwing a dice, and what will be the probability of getting a number from 1 to 6? Anyway, you know that the probability value will always ranges from 0 to 1. Okay, yeah. Abhishek, getting a number from 1 to 6, you can get any numbers. Okay, so getting a number from 1 to 6 is a sure event. If you are throwing a die, definitely you'll be getting a number from 1 to 6. So it is very sure, right? So the probability of a sure event is 1. Fine? Is that fine for Abhishek and Payal? Yes, Hemant? Okay. And probability of an event which does not occur will be equal to 0. So, nickel, likely means there are more possibilities for that event to occur. That is called as likely. And unlikely means there are very less chances for an event to occur. That is called as unlikely. So, example, there are 3 red balls and 1 black ball. Okay. So, choosing a red ball will be more likely because there are more red balls. So, the possibility of choosing it will be more. Okay. So, that is a likely event. The possibility of choosing a red ball will be more. That is called as a likely event. And if it is an unlikely event, example, consider 3 red balls and 1 black ball. Choosing a black ball is an unlikely event, which means that there is only 1 chance out of the 4 chances possible. So very rare options are there. That is called as unlikely event. Is it fine? Yeah. Even chances. So even chances is nothing but there will be equal possibilities. Example, if you toss a coin, you can get either a head or a tail. So there are even possibilities, right? So it is 1 by 2. Is it clear, Swati? Yeah, S Parag, you're right. So shall we move on? It's an impossible event. So let's say there are 5 red balls, okay? And you want to choose 1 black ball. So it is an impossible event, right, Swati? So there is no such options there because you have only red ball in your hand. Okay, so that is an impossible event. And certain event like sure event is you have 5 red balls and you have to choose 1 red ball. It is sure event because you are having only red ball and you're going to pick it up. Okay. So please take a note of these important keywords. Okay. So whenever the word or occurs in a statement, there is an addition among the cases. Example. So if you say there are balls, okay. So there are red and black balls. And if they say you have to choose either red or black ball, it means that you have to find the individual probabilities and you have to add both the probabilities. Okay. Yes, Naveen. And whenever the word and occurs in a statement, example, if you want to if you are throwing 2 coins, okay, and if you want an head and a tail in the throws, then in that case you have to find the individual probabilities and you have to multiply it. So these are the important keywords which you have to remember while using even permutation and combination topics. So please take a note of these keywords. So whenever there comes a word or in a statement, you have to use addition, and whenever the word and occurs, there should be a multiplication. Okay, so in most of the cases, like if you want to choose from two or events, like you want to choose either this or that, then you will use addition. Okay, and in some cases, like you want both this and that, if in some the and means, then it is multiplication. Okay, is it clear? That's fine. So we'll see more problems on this, but please be very clear with these things. Like if you have a pack of balls and choosing red or black ball means, then you have to add there. Okay. And if you want red and black balls, then you have to multiply it. So these are the important keywords. In some questions that it will be explicitly mentioned or and. But in some questions, you have to frame the question, and based on that, you have to answer. So we have to find whether it is multiplication or addition. Yes, Swati. So event occurs simultaneously. It means that I'll take the same case. Otherwise, I'll take a different case of cards, right? So there are 52 cards in total, and if you want to take two cards out of it, first you will have one card, and after that you will take another card. So it is occurring simultaneously, right? So at that case, you have to use multiplication. Is it fine? And the third point is mostly addition is to be done when there are two or more events which do not take place simultaneously. Okay, which doesn't depend on the previous thing. That is called as simultaneously, next to next. Okay, so in that case, we can use addition. If it is like either you can choose this or you can choose that, then in that case, you can use addition. Is it fine? Yes. So if you have as I said before, if you have a bag of balls, okay, red and blue, okay, you can go with either red or blue, then it is called as either this or that. So at that case, you can find the individual probabilities and you can add it. Okay, is it fine, Swati? Okay, so there are actually there are three types of events, but basically we can take it as two. The two are independent event and dependent events. So independent events are nothing but the two events occurrence will not affect each other. Example, if one event has occurred and the next event is going to occur. So the two events will not be dependent on each other. That is called as an independent event. Okay. Example, tossing a coin. Yes, Hemant, I'll just let you know. Okay. I'll just let you know at the end, Hemant and Swati. I'll just explain this. Okay. You just take a note of independent events. So two events are said to be independent if the occurrence of one event does not affect the occurrence of the other. Example, there is an example like tossing two coins. Example, if you toss a coin and get and get it to be tail. Okay, and the next time when you toss, because there won't be any dependence, like, right? So on the first time you can get a tail or a head, and on the second time you can get a tail or a head. So there won't be any dependence. That is called as independent event. The outcome of one will not affect the outcome of other. To say with since you've got tail and the first time, you can't say that you won't get tail in the second time. So you can, there is equal options that you can get either tail or head in the first outcome, and in similar way either tail or head in the second one. Yes, Anjali, you can say that one outcome is not dependent on the other outcome. Fine. You can have many real-time examples too for independent events. Okay, to say with example like you're driving a car and you're winning a lottery. That is an independent event. There is nothing relationship between driving a car and winning a lottery. Okay, yes, Naveen, you can ask your doubt. And intersection means what is the probability of an event A and event B occurs. Okay, so here P of A intersection B means the probability that the event A and the event B occurs. So in that case, the individual probabilities must be found out and they should be multiplied. Is that clear? So Naveen, as you can ask your doubt. Tossing a coin twice means you are having only one coin and you're tossing it twice, Nivedita. And if tossing two coins simultaneously means you are having two coins and you're doing it simultaneously in a time, at a time. That is the difference between tossing a coin twice and tossing two coins simultaneously. Swati, if it is an independent event, because the outcome of one is not going to affect the outcome of other thing. So if it is an independent event, if you are sure that it is an independent event, you can find the probabilities of both the ones separately and you can just multiply the probabilities. That is a basic rule, Swati. So Naveen, is it clear for you right now? No, no, Nivedya, in while solving a problem, the both make some difference. Okay, so you have to be very careful while reading out the problems. Obviously, like if you toss two coins simultaneously, it is an independent event, Anjali, because you can't predict which coin, you can't say that if one comes to be head, the next will come to be only tail. You can get both head or both tail. So if we toss even one coin twice, that is an independent event because the outcome of one is not going to affect the other. And if you're going to toss a coin simultaneously, that is also an independent event. Is it clear? Yes, you are right, Romsa. Yes, Nivedya, you both are right. Okay, so we'll move on to dependent events so that you will have your doubts will be clarified in a better way. Yes, Nivedya, both are independent. You're right. Paris, and we'll just have these things at the last. So you just proceed with these things and then I'll just clarify your doubts at the last. Naveen, you can use chat option and you can chat with me. Your voice will be muted. So what is a dependent event is? So if two events are dependent, which means that the occurrence of one event will affect the occurrence of the other. Example, let's take this case. You have a bag containing 5 different balls. Okay. And you are going to take 2 balls from it. Taking 1 ball, that's fine. So remaining how many balls will be left? There will be only 4 balls left. Yeah. So you have a bag of balls. So you're taking one out here. So one is over. And how many is here? 4. So from these 4, you're going to take another ball. So these are dependent events. Is it clear? the outcome of one event is affecting the outcome of the second event. So these are the dependent events. Actually, Parag, we are just going to see a probability that both the events are going to occur. Okay, that's why it's intersection. If it is in union, then you will use OR option, that is addition. Okay, and if it like intersection means it is both the events are going to occur. Okay, so let me explain this formula. Yes, Aditya, I'll just explain it. Yes, if there is replacement, then it is independent events because the outcome is not going to affect. And if there is no replacement, then it is a dependent event. Yes, I'll just explain that formula. Okay, so if two events are dependent and the probability of event B given that event A has already occurred is given by. So the probability of these events to occur is given by P of A intersection B is nothing but probability that both event A and B occurs, which is P of A into P of B given A. Okay, so I'll just explain this with this formula itself. As I said, there are 5 balls, and out of which, what is the probability? Like we'll say that we have to take 2 balls out of it. Okay, so what is the probability of event A? That is, if we want to take 1 ball out of it. Okay, so what is the probability of event A? It's nothing but 1 by 5. Now, what we have to take the second ball, right? Anjali, we are going to take it simultaneously, one after another. Okay, so our probability of event A is 1 by 5 and probability of event B is nothing but since already 1 ball is gone out. So that we have to choose one from the remaining 4, right? So the probability of B will be 1 by 4. Yes, that's fine. So here we just substitute it like it's P of A is 1 by 5 and P of B is 1 by 4. P of B given A, which means that P of probability of B such that the probability of A has that such that the event A has already occurred. That is the meaning of P of A given, sorry, B given A. Yes, Naveen, you're right. So we'll just move on to the next. So mutually exclusive events, like two events that cannot occur at the same time are called as mutually exclusive events. Okay. So example, like you can see this. Heart and a king are not mutually exclusive. Example, you'll get a king heart. Okay. But we can't get ace and a king. While drawing a card from a pack of 52, there is a possibility of getting king heart. But there is no such possibility that we will get ace and king in a single draw. No, Anjali, that is a term like P of A into P of B given A, which means that the probability of A has already occurred. Okay, so you can make use of those notations. So is everybody clear with mutually exclusive events? Mutually exclusive events means the two events will not occur at the same time. Okay, there is no possibility that the two events can occur at the same time. Example, if you are drawing a pack of cards, if you are drawing a card from a pack of 52 cards, there is a possibility to get a king heart. Okay, a heart and king. So there is a possibility to get it. But there is no such possibility that it will be a king and a ace because king and ace are different cards. So there is no such possibilities. So these events are said to be mutually exclusive events. I'll just take an example of coin again. If you are tossing a coin, there will be no possibility that it will be head and tail in a single throw. One coin I'm just saying. Okay, if you're tossing a single coin, there won't be a possibility that it will be head and tail. Okay, that is called as a mutually exclusive event. Yeah, so Aslam, I'll just explain you. Like mutually exclusive, there is a difference between mutually exclusive events and independent events. Mutually exclusive events means just tossing a coin and getting a head and tail in a single throw is a mutually exclusive event. Okay, but tossing a two coins and getting a head and a tail will be independent events. Amrita will see problems hereafter. Okay. Yeah. Yes, Ansari, you're right. Like if like at a single stretch you can't get both the events to occur. As I said, I'll just explain you again. So there is a single coin and getting a head and tail in a single throw is not possible. So it is a mutually exclusive event. Example, if there is two coin and getting a head and a tail, two coins, right? So these two are independent events. There is difference. Is it clear for all? Tossing a coin, and I'll just explain you with another thing like this. Here, choosing a king heart is a possible thing, but choosing a king and a ace is not a possible thing because king and ace are different cards. So they are mutually exclusive events. Yes, Islam, you're right. We'll move on, right? Soumya Deep, there is no possibility that a mutually exclusive event will occur. Okay, I'm saying for a single thing, like choosing a thing. Tossing a coin and getting head and tail in a single throw is not possible. That is called as mutually exclusive. Independent is different. The outcome of one event will not affect the outcome of another event. That is called as an independent event. Yes, you are right, Naveen. Turning left and right are mutually exclusive. We'll have a discussion at the last. Murali, I'll just explain you again. Like you just see here, heart and king are not mutually exclusive. So if we draw a card, there is a possibility to get heart and king. So it is not mutually exclusive. But we can't get ace and a king in a single card because they two are different cards. Okay, so that is called as mutually exclusive events. There won't be any possibility that that event will occur together. That is called as mutually exclusive event. Is it fine, Murli? So we'll move on to the problem part. Okay. So there are 5 red stones and 7 black stones in a jar. Okay. And we are going to take 2 stones out in a succession, one after another, without replacing them in the jar. What is the probability that both will be black? So this is the question. Please take a note of an important keyword in this question, without replacing them in the jar. So is the answer is 7 by 12 into 6 by 12? No, that's fine. Yes, Soumya Deep, you're right. So we'll just have this explanation once. So what is the probability of getting a black stone in the first full? So we know that we know that there are 5 red stones and 7 black stones. So there are totally 7 black stones, and the total stone is 7 plus 5, that is 12. Okay, so the probability of getting a black stone in the first pull will be 7 by 12. Okay, and the probability of getting black stone in the second pull, since we have already taken one black stone out of 7, there will be only 6 black stones remaining, and the total will also be reduced to 11. So the answer will be 7 by 12 into 6 by 11. Is it clear for you all? Yes, because I'll just say you. Okay. So what is the probability of event? Number of favorable outcomes divided by total number of possible outcomes, right? So there are totally 7 plus 5 black stones. Sorry, 7 plus 5 stones totally. So the denominator will be 7 plus 5. And what is our favorable outcome? We have to get a black stone. So that should be a numerator. So what is the possibility? The possibility of getting a black stone in the first pull will be the total 7 black stone divided by the total number of stones, that is red plus black stone. Okay, and what is the probability of getting a black stone in the second pull? It will be like already we have taken one black stone and you are having it in your hand. So what will be the remaining black stone? There will be only 6 black stones. And similarly, out of 12 you have even taken one, so it will be 11. So the answer will be 7 by 12 into 6 by 11. Like we are taking it in a succession, which means we are taking it one after another. Okay, so we'll see a similar kind of problems. A mutually exclusive event will never occur. Okay, but you can see that you can get a black stone from here. So you can definitely conclude that that is not a mutually exclusive event. Is it fine, Bhavana? So I'll just proceed with the next problem. At 9 a.m., Ronald started painting a picture. Okay, and there is 70% chance that he will finish the picture each successive hour. So in every hour, there is 70% chance that he will finish the painting. And we have to find the probability that he completes the painting at 12 p.m. Okay, so this is the question. And to save it, you just frame this question. Like how you'll frame this question, he has to complete the painting only at 12 p.m. That is our need, which means that, so first he should not complete the painting at 10 o'clock, and he should not complete the painting at 11 o'clock, and he should complete the painting at 12 o'clock. So that is our requirement, right? So if you are framing such things, then it will be easy for you. See here, like he's starting at 9 o'clock and he should finish at 12 o'clock. So what is the possibility? He should not complete at 11 o'clock. He should not 10 o'clock. He should not complete at 11 o'clock, and he should complete at 12 o'clock. So that will be the possibility. Okay, so here the key word is and, which means that you have to multiply the individual probability. And as I said, so there are 70% possibility that he will complete the painting, which means that there are 30% possibility that is he will not complete the painting. That is 100 minus 70, which is nothing but 30% possibility. So the probability will be 0.3. That is, he is not completing in 11th hour, and 10th hour, and 0.3. That is, he is not completing in 11th hour, and 0.7. That is, he is completing in 12th hour. Okay. Yeah, that is a different problem, Shakshi. It completing in any of the hour up to 12 will be a different problem. So here the important keyword is and. Like completing a problem in. So he is going to start a painting and there is 70% chance that he will finish it in each hour. And we have to find exactly at 12 o'clock when he should finish the painting. That is our question. Okay. It clearly mentioned in the question that he has to finish the painting by 12 o'clock. Okay, so we have to proceed in that way. Probability that he will complete the painting at 12 p.m. will be, he is not completing at 10, 11, that is zero point 0.3 into zero point 0.3 into completing at 12 o'clock. So the answer will be 0.063. It is a sure question, right? So they are asking, right? He has to complete it at 12 p.m. That is our need. Based on the question, we have to answer it, Swati. Okay, so whatever they are asking, we have to answer it accordingly. So Hemant, it is zero point 0.3 because he should not complete in the 10th hour, right? So 1 minus 70, 70%, that is 70 by 100. 1 minus 0.7 is 0.3. So he is not completing in 11th, 10th, 11th and at 12th hour he is completing. But Shakshi, the thing is that he should not complete at 10th hour, right? He should complete only at 12th hour. 12 p.m. he should complete. So not completing at 10, not completing at 11 and completing at 12. So that is how we have to proceed with this question. We have to frame as per the question and you have to proceed. Because I'll just explain you at the last. Sai, you will get some problems at the last to solve. Right now, I'm just giving you some examples. Okay, if you have any doubts in this, you can just proceed at the last. You can ask me at the last. Yes, Naga, you are free to ask questions. Okay, this is the problem and this is the solution. So I'll just move on to the next problem. And then we'll be seeing some problems based like for your practice. So if a fair coin is tossed 3 times, so we are going to toss a coin 3 times, we have to find the probability that it will land either head all the time or tail all the time. Please take a note of this keyword or. It is head or tail. Okay, so or means we know that it is addition, but we are tossing 3 times. Okay, so we have to find what is the probability of getting head all the time and tail all the time. It's fine that everybody is solving it correctly. So I'll just explain you once and then we'll have some practice problems. Okay, so you're going to toss a coin 3 times. So getting a tail and head while tossing a coin are independent events. They are not dependent on each other. So every time you toss a coin, you will get either head or tail. So what is the probability of getting head all the time? It is nothing but getting head first time into getting head second time into getting head third time. So that is the probability of getting head all the time. Similarly, probability of getting tail all the time will be this one, 1 by 2 into 1 by 2 into 1 by 2. So the probability of getting head all the time or tail all the time. So here the keyword or is used, which means that we have to add both the probabilities. And hence the answer is 1 by 4. Is it clear for you all? A fair coin means there will be equal probabilities of head and tail. Okay, well, it is an independent event. You'll get either head or a tail. That's it. Just a framing thing. Okay. So shall we move on, and shall we move on to the practice problems? Yeah, that's fine. So here the question is, probability that Joe can solve a problem is 1 by 4 and Tom can solve a problem is 4 by 5. Okay. So they given two different probabilities of two different persons. Okay. And if both of them attempt the same problem, what is the probability that the problem gets solved? So that is the question over here. And I can give you a small hint in this question. So you have to consider the different cases, that is three different cases in which this problem can be solved. So that is a clue over here. So you just try this problem once. Ansari, they have not mentioned explicitly in the question that they solve together. What is the probability that they solve the problem? That's it. The problem gets solved. So that is a question, and you have to consider of all the different possibilities, and you have to answer it. Okay. Is Sakshi, Bharathi, and Harsha? You're right. So others are missing out a simple concepts here. So Soumyadeep, you're right. So they both. Yes, Sai Shruti, you're right. Uh, Gurveer, you have to check your answer, please. Yes, Amrita, you're right. The rest are missing a small clue over here. There are three different cases here. Okay, so if you are framing the sentence properly, then you will definitely get the answer. No, Ram Prashant, Hansari, you have to check your answers. Swati, can I get the final answer? Yamini, please say me in the terms of fractions. Nivedya, as I said at the start, probability value will always range from 0 to 1. Yes, Yamini, you are right. Murli Krishna, you need to check your answer. Okay, so what are the three different cases here? The cases will be Joe will solve a problem correctly and Tom is solving it wrongly. Or Joe is solving a problem wrongly and Tom is solving that correctly. Or Joe is solving the problem correctly and Tom is solving the problem correctly. So these are the different possibilities. So if you are, yes, Sakshi, can you hear me? So these are the different possibilities. Swati, give your answer, final answer. So these are the different three possibilities you have to consider before answering this question. Okay, so let us have a look on this answer. Okay, so what is the probability that Joe completes a problem? It is one nothing but no. Our thing is we have to solve that problem. That is our way. So if both of them is doing wrong, there is no way to choose that possibility because that is not going to give us an answer. So we can't do both the problem to be wrong. Okay, so what is the probability that Joe can complete a solve a problem? It is 1 by 4. And we know that the negative probability, that is Joe can't solve the problem, is 1 minus 1 by 4, which is nothing but 3 by 4. And from the question, we know that the probability that Tom can solve the problem is 4 by 5. Okay, so the probability that Tom can't solve the problem is 1 minus 4 by 5. Nivedya, we have to come to a conclusion that the problem is getting solved. So that is a question. So there is, if both are not solving it, then what is the use of taking that into the problem? We have to consider all the possible answers as per the question. Okay. So it is 1 by 4. That is, Joe is solving the problem right into Tom is solving it wrongly, plus Joe is solving it wrongly into Tom is solving it correctly, or both Tom and Joe are solving it correctly. So if you add all these probabilities, you'll end up at an answer 17 by 20. No problem, Ansari. At least you have given a try. That's good. Is it clear for you all? Shall we move on to the next problem? Yes, that is also a good approach, Harsha. So just try this problem. An integer is chosen at random from the first 50 positive integers. Okay, we are choosing first 50 positive integers, and we have to find the probability that the number will not be divisible by 4 or 6. So this is the clue over here. The number should not be divisible by 4 or 6. So you first consider what are the numbers which are divisible by 4 or 6. Then subtract it from the numbers, the total numbers, and that will give you the answer. So can you all try it once? Sai, may I know, have you got this answer? No, you have to check your answer. So Murali, you have solved it a little bit right, but you've missed a point that you have to find the numbers which are not divisible by 4 or 6. Basu, you need to check your answer. Yes, Murali, now you are right. Naveen, please check your answer once. Gurveer, you need to check your answer once. Harsha, yes, that's fine. Soumya Deep, Nagas, you need to check your answer. Sai, you just missed a small clue over here. There will be some numbers which will be common to both. So that's a mistake you have done there. Please check it. Payal, yes, your answer is right. So the rest, you need to check your answer. Amrita, you missed out a small thing. Please check it once. Anjali, you're right. Naveen, need to check your answer. Yamini, you missed a small thing. Just check it once. Hemant, check it once. Gurveer, yes, you're right. Shwati, you need to check your answer. Sakshi, first you find out the numbers which are divisible by 4 or 6, and then you subtract it from the total number 50. That will give you the required probability. Siddharth, you need to check your answer. Rajeshwari, check it once. So shall we move on to the explanation part? Yes, Ram Prasad, you are right. No, Nikhil, you have to check it once. Yes, yes, Ashwini, you are right. Swati, you just check out for the common numbers, please, between 4 and 6. Mogat, you just join, you just listen to me from now on. Swati, you have to consider both the things, both 4 or 6, and the common things. Yes, Amrita, you are right. Payal, check your answer once. So shall we move on to the explanation part? Yes, Swati, I'll just let you know. Okay. So first find what are the numbers that are divisible by 4 between 1 to 50. So these are the numbers which are divisible by 4 between 1 to 50. And then we have to find the numbers that are divisible by 6 between 1 to 50. So these are different numbers which are divisible by 6 from 1 to 50. And you can't just take it like that because there will be some common numbers. Example 12, 24, 36 and 48 are the common numbers. So you just, there will be 2 times, right? It will be repeating 2 times. So you have to subtract the common numbers, and that will give you totally 16 numbers that are divisible by 4 and 6. Okay, and which implies that 34 numbers are not divisible by 4 and 6. So the required probability will be 34 by 50. So since it is from 1 to 50, you can easily sort it out. Like you can easily say it as 4, 8, 12, 16, 20 other things. Okay, the numbers between 1 to 50 which is possible by 4. But if it is for a larger case, you can't do it. Like if it is from 1 to 100, you can't keep on doing that, right? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So if it is for a larger case, what you can do it is 50 divided by 4. So what will be the thing? 50 divided by 4. What will be the quotient? The quotient will be 12, right? So for a larger case, okay. So you just take the total number and divisible by the take the first number, that is 4. So 50 divided by 4, which will give you 12 as a quotient. Okay, you just take the integer value 12. So the numbers that are divisible by 4 will be 12. And similarly, you take 50 divided by 6. So what will be the quotient? The quotient will be 8. And then what you have to do is, you have to take the LCM of 4 and 6. Okay, so that will be, the LCM will be 12, right? So 50 divided by 12. So the quotient will be 4. So just add 12 plus 8, subtract minus 4. So that will give you the answer which is divisible by 4 or 6. Just subtract it from the total number and find the numbers which are not divisible by 4 or 6. It will be 34. So the required probability will be 34 by 50. So is it clear for you? So Aslam, can you hear me? Neha, am I audible to you? So I'll just give you a small trick again. Like if it is case of a larger number, say 100 or so, then what we have to do is divide 100 by the divisible factors. Example 4, right? So divide 100 by 4 first and find the quotient. Similarly, divide 100 by 6 and find the quotient. Then take LCM of 4 and 6 and divide it by 100. 100 divided by the LCM of 4 and 6. So you add both these things and subtract it and you'll find the answer. Yes, Sai, because there will be some common factors as we did right now, right? So you have to take LCM of 4 and 6 and you have to divide it by 100, find the quotient, and then you have to subtract it from the total so that you will get only the common things. No, like if it is a case of 4 and 6, then what will be the thing is if there is a word called and, you have to take only the common things there. Okay, here you are taking all the things which are there. Okay, but you have to take only the common things. That is 4 are common here, right? So 4. So you have to subtract it from 50. 50 minus 4. Then 46 by 50 will be the probability if it is a case like the numbers that are divisible by both 4 and 6. Okay, so that makes a sense. If it is and, you have to make multiplication, I said, right? If it is and, you have to take the common things. And if it is or, you can take all the things. Is it fine? So is it fine for you all? Yeah, just a minute. I'll just explain you, okay? Hello? Just a minute. I'll just solve you the problem. Okay, so that you can know it exactly. Yes, Hemant, just a minute. I'll just solve you this problem so that you'll be able to know what is the trick. It will be very easy for you to understand the trick for this problem. Okay, so it is a very simple trick. So I'll just explain you very clearly. Just a minute. So whoever are clear with this problem, you just proceed with the next problem. You just proceed with this problem, whoever is clear, so that I'll help you for the next. I'll just help you with the previous problem. Just Yeah, so we will just try this problem. Okay. It will just take another 10 to 15 minutes. So you just hold on and we'll just try this problem. Okay. So if it is a case that the numbers are divisible by 4. So what you have to find is you have to find the total numbers. That is 50 divided by 4. Okay. So which means that the quotient will be 12. Okay. So when you divide 50 by 4, the quotient will be 12, right? By 4, the quotient will be 12. Is it clear? So you have to take 12 over here. Okay. And similarly, we have to find the numbers that are divisible by 6. So if it is a case like that, you just take 50 divided by 6. So what will be the quotient? The quotient will be 8. But there will be some common factors between 4 and 6. So what you have to do is you have to take the LCM of 4 and 6. So what will be the LCM? The LCM will be 2 into 2 into 3, which is nothing but 12. Okay. So what you have to do is 50 divided by 12. So the quotient will be 4. So to find the numbers that are divisible by 4 or 6, you have to add 12 plus 8 minus 4, which is nothing but 16, which we got from this problem. Is it clear for you all? So are everybody clear with this problem? So 4 is, when 50 is divided by 12, the answer, the quotient will be 4, right? When you divide 5, yeah, Aslam, if it is 4 and 6, then you have to take the common factors. Example, you have to take only 12, then 24, then 36, 48. Only 4 will be common to both. And means common, or means either or, this or that. 12 plus 8 minus 4 is 16, right, Swati? So 16 are divisible by 4 and 6, which means that 34 numbers are not divisible. So the required probability will be 34 by 50. Yes, Basu, that's fine. That's for a union of events. Okay. So we will have a quick look on a next problem. So the probability that Jack will solve a problem is, the probability that Jack will solve a problem is 3 by 4. So we have to find the probability that he solves at least one problem out of 10 problems. So it is a little bit trickiest question. So try to solve this problem. Okay. Yes, Sakshi, I've solved it right. That's fine. 12 plus 8 minus 4 is 16, Hemnath. And 50 minus 16 is 34. For the previous problem, which is saying, rest, please continue with this problem. Gurveer, you need to check your answer. Yes, Sakshi, you are right. Basu, please check your answer. So there is a small trick over here. The probability that Jack will solve a problem is given, and what is they are asked to find the probability that he solves at least one problem out of 10 problems. So that is the thing which we are asked to find, which means at least one means he can solve one or even up to 10 problems, right? Parag, you need to check your answer. There are totally 10 questions. So the possibility will be like this. Example, if you are taking 2 questions, the possibility will be solving one correct and one wrong, or solving one correct and the second one correct. So these are the two possibilities for two questions correct. In a similar way, just proceed with the possibilities of at least 1 out of 10 questions. For two questions, I've just said it out. Like it's a trick, Swati, to find out the common factors which are common to both the devices. We are just taking out the LCM and then we are dividing it to find the common factor so that we can subtract it. Yes, Harsha, Murali, that's fine. Naga, please post your question once. Parag, yes, but there are different possibilities, I said, right? So if you are doing like this, you are just considering only one possibility that all the questions are right. But there are different possibilities that you can get one question right or two questions right or three questions right. So there are different possibilities. Naga, please post your doubt once. Yes, Amrita, there is a very good shortcut over here. It's very simple actually. Naga, please post your doubt. But you have to consider for all the questions right. But you have done only for one question. We have just considered for right alone. But there will be possibilities. If one is right, then the rest all will be wrong. So Parag, please check that. If one is right, then the rest all is wrong. So here, I'll just explain you this problem. Here, we know that the probability of getting a problem right is 3 by 4. But rather than doing it in a very lengthier manner, we can find the probability of getting it all wrong and subtracting it 1 by 1 so that we'll get the answer. Example, probability of getting one problem wrong will be 1 minus 3 by 4, which is nothing but 1 by 4. Okay, so the probability of getting all the problems wrong will be 1 by 4, the whole part 10, right? Because you're getting all the problems right. First problem is wrong and second problem is wrong and third problem is wrong. In a similar manner, all the 10 problems is wrong. No, it is applicable for all things, Naga. It's not only for 4 and 6. It is applicable for all. Okay. So the probability of getting all the problems wrong will be 1 by 4, the whole part 10. That is 1 by 4 into 1 by 4 into 1 by 4 up to 10 times. We know that the total probability is 1. So the probability of getting at least one question is nothing but 1 minus probability of getting all problems wrong. So that will give you the answer. So this is the easiest and way to solve this problem. 1 minus 1 by 4, the whole part 10. The total probability is 1. Okay. And as I said in the first one, it's nothing but the probability of getting an event is complementary event is 1 minus probability of event. So 1 minus 1 by 4, the whole power 10. Swati, there are 10 questions. So you can't post it as 9. It's 10. It's 1 minus 1 by 4, the whole part 10. Okay, is it clear for you all? Swati, like they have given at least one problem, which means that it can be one right or two right or three right or four right. It can be up to 10 times. So it is 1 minus probability of getting all wrong, which is nothing but we are subtracting one case which is not there so that you will get all the possible cases. That is the answer. Okay. So 1 minus the case which is not there will give you all the possible cases. Parag, it's a quite longer thing. Okay, so let me solve this for this two problems. Okay, if there are two problems are there. One, so you can solve it either right or wrong or right. So this will be the thing. Okay, but or both will be right. Sorry, wrong. Both will be right. So this will be the possibility. So if there is two problems, you can solve in this manner, or right, wrong and right. Right and right. So these are the different possibilities here. So you have to add all these possibilities to get an answer. It is easy to get for a two problems, but for a 10 problems, it will be very difficult. At least one means one or more questions to be right. That is the meaning. At least meaning is one or more questions is right. If only one means the rest all is wrong. Okay, at least means one or more. Maximum one means only one is right. Is it clear for you all? I'll just explain you. At least means minimum one is right. So you can have even maximum 10 to be right. But maximum one can be right means the rest all is wrong. Is it clear for you, Swati? At least one means minimum one question should be right. But maximum one means only one question should be right. So there is a difference. So there at least two means at least two problems should be right at that case. It can be two or more problems. Okay, is it clear? Yes, that's fine, Parag. Yeah. So is it clear for you all? In case that it is given that all question are wrong, then the possibility will be 1 by 4. There will be only one case where all the questions will be wrong, Swati. Okay. So like example, at least one means you will get 1, 2 or 3 up to 10 questions right. That is a possibility. If everything is wrong, then the possibility is just 1 by 4. The whole power 10. There will be only one possibility for it. Is it clear? Is it fine for you all? Swati, I'll just explain you once. Okay. So actually, if it is a case that at least one problem is right, it means that I'll just explain you with 3 problems for you. Okay. Okay. If there is a case called 3 problems, then what will be the different possibilities? It will be one problem right and the rest 2 will be wrong, or 2 problem right and the rest 1 will be wrong, or all the 3 problems will be right. We should not consider the case that all the 3 problems will be wrong. Okay, because we are given with an option that at least one should be right. Okay, so you have to solve this problem in this way. Moving forward, you will just have more questions to solve so that you'll be very clear with these terms. Since it is very new to you, you are just little bit confused. But anyhow, moving forward, if you are practicing more such problems, it will be very useful for you. Okay, so I'll just hand over it to Ruchiraj, and that's about probability. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Nandini. I believe that has been one of the finest sessions I've ever seen, guys. So I would like to have a quick round of feedback from you guys. I'll ask Nandini to stand back for a couple of more moments. Right. So, guys, how was the session like? Did you guys learn something worthwhile? Was it worth all your time and effort? Right. Good session. Right. It was great. Okay, so guys, thanks a lot, guys. Meanwhile, I realized that a couple of you have joined us late, but nonetheless, guys, this has been quite an important session, and we shall be uploading the recording of this session soon. But before that, I would love to know, guys. I'd like to interact with you for a couple of more moments, right? So please let me know how happy you guys are with GREH, right? Kindly quickly answer this poll, guys. Kindly rate your happiness quotient on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being extremely happy, right? So please let us know where exactly do we stand. So guys, this is an important uh, benchmark for all of us here, because it is based on your feedback that we try to improve consistently, right? So please let us know how happy you guys are, right? Okay, that's great. Thank you very much, guys. Thanks a lot, right? Okay. So with this, guys, we have come to the end of the session. But before that, guys, I would like to ask you, guys, did you like the session, and do you feel that live online classes like these could actually help you in your preparation? Come on, guys, I need responses from each one of you. Do you guys feel that live sessions like these can actually help you out with your preparations? Yes, Anjali says yes. Naveen says yes. Yes, a lot, says Abhishek. Yes, a very good idea, says Vikas. Yes, yes, says Sai Shruti. Okay, so GREH is always there to help you guys out, right? So you guys can most certainly upgrade your learning experience here with GREH by upgrading to live online classes. All you need to do is click on the link that I've shared with you guys, right? And enter your details, that is your name, your phone number, and your email ID. Press the submit button, and then quickly come back and then type in DONE done, right? So it's a 4-step process. Once you click on the link, right, you enter your details, your name, that is, if I would to enter, I would enter Ruchraj Bhardwaj, right? Ruchraj Bhardwaj, right? And I would enter my email ID, or enter my phone number, and then press the submit button. That's the third step. And then type in DONE done in the chat box, right? So guys, quickly answer the poll. I mean, also, I'm sorry, quickly click on the link, enter the details, and then press type in DONE done, right? Alternatively, guys, those of you who are not able to access the link, I have launched a poll on your screen, right? So you can answer the poll, and we will get in touch with you, right? And we will explain you how can you go about upgrading your learning experience here with GRE Edge, right? So this is a brilliant idea, and a lot of students have been have been enrolling for the GRE Edge e-class, right? I'm sure that you guys know about it. And one thing that you guys must realize, and I believe I forgot to tell you, that there are very limited number of seats that are available with Nandini, right? With Saraswati and all the brilliant faculties we have here with us, brilliant SFAs, right? So you guys need to quickly enroll yourself. So all you need to do is click on the link, right? Enter your details, press the submit button, and then type in "do I need done," right? So how many of you have entered your details already? Right, guys, I've resent the link with you guys. So those of you, I believe, you guys were not able to enter your details properly. So all you need to do is click on the link that I've shared with you right now. Okay, enter your details and then type in "do I need done." Right. So guys, also those of you have answered the poll, quickly type in yes, so that we get to know that you guys have answered the poll already. Right. And guys, those of you who have entered your details, I would request you to kindly click on the link that I have shared with you again, right? So that we get to know if you would like to upgrade yourself to GRAG class, right? Or you get to attend live online classes like the one you attended today, right? With some really cool SFAs, right? So do not miss out upon this opportunity. Right. Okay, guys, thanks a lot for answering this poll, and we will get in touch with you. And with this, we come to the end of this session, right? I hope that you guys learned something really important from your preparations perspective, and I hope that you guys carry forward this learning and ace your GRE quant section, okay, and make each one of us here at GRE really proud. And with this, on behalf of Nandini and myself, I would like to wish all of you the very best. Take care, good night, and happy learning with GRE Edge. Thank you very much.